Hello, this is Colton from JMCH Tech, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about Docker and also about containers versus virtual machines and what are the main differences between them and kind of compare and contrast them. So this is Docker. This is the Docker Hub, playwithdocker.com. Um, so Docker is it's a platform that you is used to deliver software in packages that they call containers. So that's where the name containers come from. It's just kind of how software is delivered. And they're isolated and they have their own software libraries, configuration files, etc. And they're able to communicate with each other through different channels. So if you were to go here, start, this would bring you to what they call the playground, which is the main hub of the site. And if I were to just run a demo here, just to open a program called OpenFOSS, you would click on the wrench tool here, click one manager, one worker. That would load the template and then bring you to the terminal here. I have a link here from GitHub that I can copy and paste instead of memorizing and just enter it into the terminal. Click enter. As you can see here, it says cloning into FOSS, and it's loading the ports up here. So once you're here, you would copy and paste this long password. This is the password from after the N up until the space between the line here. And then you would click 8080, the port, enter admin, and copy and paste that password. And as you can see here, this is OpenFOSS. So it definitely helps a lot to get a link from GitHub and be able to remember how to do that because it can be a little confusing. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about virtual machines and how they differ from containers. So I'm going to be referencing one or two articles here. Here's one that breaks down machines versus containers in the form of charts and bullet point quick information tidbits. It helps a lot to kind of distinguish between them. So this is kind of a breakdown of virtual machines. As you can see, both virtual machines and containers are both um, built upon a key infrastructure or like a foundational infrastructure. So if I were talking about a laptop, um, as my infrastructure, that would be the core of the laptop, the actual physical body of the laptop. Like I have a MacBook here that I'm running, so I'll just use that as an example. Um, and then on top of that, you have a host operating system. That would be your most recent form of software that you're running on the computer. I have currently OS Ajave, I think it's called, which is one of the more recent ones on the Mac. And then above it, there's a hypervisor. And then you have your guest operating systems and all the libraries and everything like that. But what really is the key differentiator between um, machines and containers is in virtual machines. There's a hypervisor, which is how you run a file in the virtual machine. So if you were talking about a laptop, for example, it would be HyperKit for Mac, Hyper-V for Windows, KVM for Linux. Um, so that's just kind of how you run the actual file. And that's really what differentiates the two. They both have guest operating systems, they both have host operating systems, and they both have a key infrastructure. But instead of the hypervisor for Docker containers, there's a daemon. And the daemon is a service that runs in the background of the host operating system and manages everything required to run and interact with the Docker containers. So those are the main differences between them. Um, Essentially, the virtual machines are very good at isolating system resources and the entire working environments, whereas Docker, they isolate individual applications and not the actual entire system. So for virtual machines, they would probably be more used if you were like a web hosting company. You would use them to separate each individual customer, whereas you would use Docker if you were attempting to break up a bunch of web application services into their own specific images. So that kind of explains a bit about containers versus virtual machines. If you have any more questions, please let me know. And this has been JMCH Tech signing off.